Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show on this September 2nd, 2022, a Friday. Thank you for tuning in. Glad to have you guys here. Anyway, we already got the chart started, so we're going to take a look at what's going on. First thing I want to show you guys is NVIDIA. You guys don't know what NVIDIA is. They're a big chip manufacturing company that produces semiconductors and the top chips in the world for different things like video card processing in your computers. Your computer right now has probably got a NVIDIA chip inside it. Massively powerful company. NVIDIA reveals new U.S. government rules restricting export of AI chips to China and Russia. This is what's going on right now. This is a big potential threat to... as I get into this and as I talk about this, you're going to start to realize just how important this is. The U.S. government has introduced imposing new rules that would restrict the exports of computer chips used for supercomputers and artificial intelligence. They're going to impose this ban on Russia and China from NVIDIA. They need these chips for GPUs, which is a central processing. Well, there's a central processing unit too, the chips, plus the GPU, which is a graphic processing unit inside these different kinds of computers and stuff. They're going to put export new requirements. Comes on the heels of another export control rule issued in mid-August that would prevent China from accessing advanced chip design software necessary to produce next-generation processors. Okay? This is big. This is a big story because the world runs on these chips now. It's as simple as that. But not only that, advanced weaponry runs on these chips too. And where is these chips produced? Okay, it says here, what country produces these chips? Well, what country manufactures NVIDIA chips? We got it right here. It's a Google search. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, a contract manufacturer that provides circuits to firms like NVIDIA Corporation, has been becoming increasingly visible by a growing number of companies that hire companies to make their chips. According to Barron, it says China has designed many chips on its own, but generally relies on factories in Taiwan to manufacture most of the advanced models. In a statement on Wednesday, NVIDIA and AMD acknowledged the new restrictions to these chips. This is very important. Okay, take a look at Europe right now. They're having their gas cut off to them from Russia. It's very important to Europe. They're coming into winter right now. And they need that gas to keep their houses warm. This is very simple. But, countries out there, they need these chips. Taiwan's a place where they come from. And so you wonder what's going on over in Taiwan. A lot of it has to do with these chips. The United States wants these chips. Russia wants these chips. China wants these chips. And where are they produced? Taiwan. So a lot of things are centered on Taiwan. Well, what's this article about? I got here. Taiwan disputes becomes a chip conflict. In the midst of the dispute over Taiwan with Beijing, the United States has imposed new restrictions on the export of high-performance chips to Russia and especially China. The restrictions affect microprocessors, which are primarily required for artificial intelligence applications. These could put pressure on the security industry of China, which relies upon facial recognition. The U.S. also wants to boost its own chip production, for which $52 billion will be spent. So, see, big money here involved here. Now, we know about the military buildup around Taiwan, and you can see that this is an integral part of what's going on. What is it I got here, too? I got something else here. Taiwan set for talks with Japan to evacuate 20,000 of its citizens if China invades. So Japan right now has got 20,000 citizens. Says Japanese lawmakers last week agreed to begin talks with Taiwan government on contingencies for the evacuation of its citizens from Taiwan if China invades. It says they've visited Taiwan, the Secretary General, and from August 22nd to 24th to engage in security talks with Taiwanese leaders. It was agreed to start discussions on how to evacuate Japanese citizens in the event China launches an invasion on Taiwan. So we see a lot of this, what's going on right now. In my opinion, is about chips. Now, the United States is trying to build a factory here. I saw down here that the United States is trying to build a factory to build chips. Where was it here? Trying to find it. No, it's not in that article. It's in this one here. Let me see. It says $52 billion are to boost U.S. chip production. Because of Taiwan conflict, the country produces most of the chips processed. Because of the Taiwan conflict, the country produces most of the chips processed in the United States. The United States also wants to promote chip producers in the USA as a measure against the continuing shortage of semiconductors. The U.S. government is launching an approved multi-billion-dollar subsidy for the U.S. chip industry. President Biden last week signed an executive order implementing a recently passed bill that would provide $52.7 billion in subsidies for chip production from U.S. manufacturers, evidently. So there's a lot going on here that a lot of people don't know about. And an awful lot of this stuff that's going on has to do with these semiconductors that are used in almost every application now, in the military and in even in civilian. You know, I mean, you guys pick up your phone, it's got a semiconductor inside it, or semiconductors that are made in big factories. And Taiwan is a premier place where they're producing all these chips. So this is important. But now we're going to talk about the markets a little bit. Oh, one other thing I wanted to point out right now, too, is there's a super storm. It's a super typhoon, and it's actually barreling toward Taiwan right now. Okay, so see China, that's mainland China over there, you know, and here's the super typhoon, and there is Taiwan right there, just off the coast of mainland China. And we got this super typhoon heading toward Taiwan right now while we speak. I just wanted to mention that, guys. So let's move on and take a look at the markets now. What we're going to take a look at is the silver price today. And what we're seeing is 1807. It's up 27 cents. So we're seeing a rising price for silver. I'm going to tell you guys what. Commodities are going to be really big, and the dollar is going to loosen. It's going to get chopped in half pretty soon. Not right yet. As long as they're continuing the tightening, the Fed's continuing tightening, the dollar's not going to get chopped. In fact, it's apt to stay strong, but at the expense of all the markets, at the expense of all of you. The dollar's probably going to stay strong right now. For a little while longer. And what's going to happen is the weakness in the economy is going to continue to grow worse and worse. Basically, what we have is a division now in the world between East and West. And I don't see this as a good thing. I see this as a very bad thing, this division. And, you know, divisions are growing all around the world, not just between East and West, but even over here in the West, there's divisions that are growing between people. You know, and these are bad things as well. One of the things is here in North America, we have divided political parties, and these divisions are growing greater. The world is becoming polarized. East and West is the biggest division out there right now, and this is a very bad situation, guys. Very bad indeed. Especially when they're all getting ready to fight over semiconductors. I mean, they're right now the world is hungry for semiconductors because the world is trying to make this change from trying to make a change from a world that's up to this point. Like, how do I explain this? When I was younger, I didn't even have computers. Nobody did. Nobody had your cell phone is a computer, by the way, if you didn't know that. But nobody had any computers. We didn't have any computers. I got my first computer. It was a ratty-tad old thing, and it cost me a lot of money way back around the year 2000. It had Windows 2000 on it. It was an upgrade from Windows 95. And that was my first computer that I ever had. And boy, was it ever slow. Anyway, but now look how far we've come in such a short period. From the year 2000 until now, just 22 years. It is absolutely amazing. But what do they want to do? Do they want to create a world where these semiconductors are worthless? Because they can do that if they're not careful. So what they're fighting over might become absolutely worthless in a world where the only thing that's worth anything is some place to hide from the radiation. Some place that's got food and a bed. That's the only thing that's worth anything. Semiconductors would just be absolutely useless at that point. I mean, you have to have a system in place in the world where semiconductors become valuable. And that system has to be a high-tech modern society. And that's what we're moving into, and that's why the semiconductors are becoming so precious. Is because we're making that transition into a high-tech society. But that transition can be interrupted with the most powerful weapons on Earth. This is... Anyway, moving on, taking a look at the silver price. Going up 27 cents today. Which they're going to need copper like crazy. They're going to need all these metals, aluminum, magnesium. They're going to need all kinds of metal. They're going to need silver like you've never seen anybody need silver before. And the supplies of silver are going to be extremely restricted coming up in the future. Gold, they don't use gold quite as much in industry and stuff. And a lot of people don't know this, but there's more gold actually out there in storage than there is silver. And they use so much silver. Look, all these solar panels are trying to produce now. And you think Europe is not going to be demanding solar panels? So you get a lot of those people out there and they haven't got enough electricity. You're going to be tremendous demand. People's first thing that comes to mind. I mean, if I was living in Europe, there'd be a couple things I'd be thinking about right now. I'd probably clean out my tool shed if I had a big house in Europe someplace. And I'd probably try to fill it with coal. And I'd probably be trying to store some firewood away. And I'd probably be trying to find myself an old wood stove someplace or something that'd burn coal or burn wood. Right? Because you can't rely upon heat. What are you going to do this winter for heat? And the next thing I'd be doing is I'd be trying to buy myself a few solar panels. So I could have at least a little bit of electricity this winter. If I was in Europe, without having to be reliant upon the electrical companies, which are raising their price fourfold over the European citizens. And you know what? That's come to Europe. What makes you think it's not going to come over here to Americas? They can jack the price up anytime they feel like it to you and your electric bill, and all of a sudden you get a bill that's just a shocker. Your eyeballs bug out. What in the heck? Anyway, cryptocurrency today. We're looking at an industry that has been dwindling. It's now down under $1 trillion. It's 985 billion. So it was over $1 trillion. Now it's under $1 trillion. We were over $2 trillion. This is just sinking, And it's going to sink. This is going to sink. It's going to continue to stay just like the stock market, just like all the markets right now. are going to stay down and suppressed until the Fed turns and changes direction. And they're not going to turn until everything's crushed in defeat. You watch my show I did yesterday, you'll realize the reasons why they're not going to turn easily. But they're going to turn. Show I did over at the Delta Report yesterday. We'll explain to you why they're not going to turn easily. The Fed, pivot. They're not going to pivot easy this time. This is going to be a hard pivot. It's going to be a hard landing before they pivot. So we're going to have the hard landing, and then they're going to pivot. And this is going to throw everything into chaos into everything. And this is coming right up very soon. Okay. Next thing I want to point out was the stock market today. And let me refresh the page and see where we're at. We're up 122 points. A little bit of a rebound. But okay, just look at this. What do I got to do here to let you guys see it a little bit better? If you look at this, a lot of people look at it and say, oh, the stock market's, when's the crash? When's the crash coming? Okay, here's the peak right here. And here's your crash. You see that? You see that turn down right there? So far, it's been a slow motion crash, but you see what's happening? It's going to turn down even faster. This, we're already in it. In fact, we're midstream right here. Here's the peak, 36,455. You see what's happening here? You guys are into charting analysis. If you look at enough charts, you get so you can read them after a while. You can read them in your sleep. And this is what happens to guys like me that look at charts all day long, for years and years and years and years and years and years, every day, looking at charts. This is what happens to us. We get so we can just peek at a chart and we can tell what it's doing or where it's going. And all this stuff about heads and shoulders and all this kind of stuff, after a while your brain simulates charts so that you can look at a chart and you can tell kind of what's up with it, And you guys can't see this. This is in a downward trend. It's going to continue. It's obvious. Right here is your peak right here at 36,000 whatever, and here's your downward trend, and it's going to continue. This is going to continue. Yeah, it might have a few ups, but it's mostly downs. It's going to continue, lower lows, until we get this hard landing, and the Fed gets scared. And then what are they going to do? You know what they're going to do. We know what they're going to do. Eventually, they're going to, because there's no bottom to this. This could go down and down and down. This could go down to, I don't know, below 10,000 on the Dow. I'm serious, guys. This could go down by 90%. There's no bottom here. Because it's all unleveraged money. And they're pulling the money from the system. They're deleveraging the system right now. In real time. So you tell me. Are they going to stop deleveraging? Of course they're going to stop. Otherwise they won't have a system left. They're not going to burn the system down. If you think they're going to burn the system down, then go out right now and invest in the dollar. As fast as you can. Hoard dollars. If you think they're going to burn the system down. You think they're actually going to burn the system down? Well, if you don't think they're going to burn the system down, then you better start thinking about alternatives to the dollar. And you better start thinking of, and they're all on sale right now. Fire sale. It's a fire sale on alternatives right now. And it will be until they turn. Okay, so this is what we're waiting for here. Look, take a look at oil price today. 88.17. It's up $1.56 on the day so far. Now we're going to check out the MOVE index. 126. The MOVE index has been slowly trotting upwards for a long time. It's going to continue until the Fed relents on this. And this is, I think, one of the metrics that they watch very carefully. And this is one of the things that's going to turn the Fed. Okay, bonds and rates today. We're looking at, we're on the U.S. 10-year, we're 3.28. We're up we're up a little bit. We're moving on. We're starting to move up on the bond yields again. 3.28. We're having these increases in the U.S. 10-year that are not going to be unnoticed for long by the markets. So this trend upwards today, I mean, I'm thinking to myself, hey, with what's going on, I wouldn't be surprised if the market, even though it's up right now, if the market ended lower. Even though the market's up 122 points right now, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it ended lower today. Or barely. This little rally could just fizzle right out this afternoon. It could. Because this ultimately, this market's going nowhere until the Fed relents. And when the Fed relents, if you can find out that moment when the Fed's going to say, hey, this is it. We're turning the switch off. We're done with this quantitative tightening. We're going back to quantitative easing. So on, and all that kind of stuff. That's when the market's going to take off. And, you know, if you can buy in right at that low point, well, you're going to do exactly what these people that bought in at this low point here did. You know, it's just wash, rinse, repeat, and it's going to go back up again. Can't stress this enough. Anyway, guys, listen, taking a look at the dollar index today at 109.6. Thank you for listening to my show. Like and subscribe. Remember, my Patreon channel helps support my channel. It's only $1 a month. And I'm going to be doing a show in the next day or so on Patreon. And you guys, unless you're a supporter of Patreon, you know, pay the $1 a month, which is almost nothing, you can't get these exclusive shows. They're not on here. I do them on Patreon. You can't watch them unless you're a Patreon member. And it's only $1 a month, so it's $12 a year. That's the same price as a hamburger or whatever nowadays. You know, one meal at a fast food restaurant for a whole year. You know, and anyway, listen, guys, it helps support my channel. Go over there. I'm going to put the link in the description today. And you guys have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.